Good Tuesday morning to you. I'm wondering this morning if you've ever heard the story of King Midas and the Midas touch. It's a Greek myth, and it tells the story of a very wealthy king named Midas, who was the king of Phrygia. And Midas just loved being rich. He clothed himself in gold. He counted his gold coins day by day. And then one day, the god Dionysus, the god of wine and revelry, visited his kingdom. And while he was there, one of his close friends took a nap and became separated from Dionysus. And Dionysus searched far and wide, couldn't find him, but Midas found him, recognized him, and brought him to his kingdom, showed him a good time, and then returned him to Dionysus. Well, Dionysus was so thankful that he granted King Midas one wish, anything. And Midas knew exactly what he wanted. He said, "I wish that anything I touch would turn to gold." Dionysus warned him to think about that. But Midas was resolute. And so Dionysus granted him that wish. And Midas was so happy. He first touched a table and it turned to gold, and then he touched a cup and then the carpet. Everything turned to gold, and he was so happy. And he spent that day turning everything into gold, becoming wealthier and wealthier. And at the end of the day, he was exhausted and he was hungry. And so he reached for some grapes to eat, and they turned into gold. And then a cup of water to drink, and it turned into gold. And then a slice of bread, and he became fearful as everything turned into gold. And then finally his daughter came to visit him. And he went over to hug her, and you guessed it, she turned into gold. And so what Midas had thought was a blessing had turned into a curse. Well, I want to share with you a scripture from the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew chapter 6, toward the end of that chapter. It goes like this: "Do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust consume and thieves break in to steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moth and rust do not consume and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your heart is, there will your where your treasure is, there will your heart be also." And that, of course, is the point, isn't it? Jesus taught this over and over. It's all about the heart. The things that you value will shape your whole life. It will shape your heart, which will lead to the decisions you make, the priorities you have, the friends that you keep. The things that you value will shape your heart. So today, on this Tuesday, how about reminding yourselves of those things which are truly valuable in your life? Is there a relationship in your life that you've taken a little bit for granted? Is there someone who needs your encouragement, who's hurting or discouraged? Is there someone who needs some financial help and you have the means to do it? These things, those are good choices, and they will shape your heart, and your heart then will shape every decision you make. By the way, maybe you don't know the rest of the story of King Midas. King Midas went to Dionysus, the god who had given him the one wish, and he prayed that it would be undone. And Dionysus reversed the curse. And Midas spent the rest of his life doing good with his wealth for the citizens of his kingdom. So it's never too late to change your heart, to change the things that you value and the decisions you make. You know, the story of Midas is kind of the opposite of the story of another king. His name is Solomon. We've visited that story many times. Solomon, who was granted one wish by the true and the living God. And rather than choosing wealth, Solomon chose wisdom. The Apostle Peter, in the first chapter of his first letter, tells us that God has given us an inheritance which is imperishable, undefiled, and unfading, reserved in heaven for us. What a wonderful promise. It's better than gold. So, take this day, think about that, and think about the things in your life that are truly valuable, and treasure those things, value them, and let it change your heart today. God bless.